Review. The novel The Wolf Brothers in New York 1 continues the mystical epic of the wolf family of Yaransk, bringing myth, nature, and curse to a new setting, the heart of a modern metropolis. If in the previous volumes the tone was archaic, loaded with the symbolism of the forest and Siberian snow, this part of the series moves the conflict between man and beast to the urban jungle of New York, where instinct clashes with civilization, and the wolf seeks its place among the skyscrapers. The result is a tense, poetic, and brutally honest novel about the duality of human nature. The book opens with the prologue The Shadow in the Snow, in which we find Tarak, the former blacksmith of Yaransk, trying to repair not only the village destroyed by the curse, but also his soul. His sister, Sayan, the being caught between two worlds, woman by day, she-wolf by night, lives with the burden of guilt. In this bleak setting, the arrival of an American, John Smith, ignites a spark of hope. When Tarak helps him by repairing his truck in a blizzard, he receives a job offer in New York, a gesture that becomes the trigger for the entire story. The early chapters capture the contrast between the frozen world of Yaransk and the glittering modernity of the West. The journey by train and then by ship to America is described with a special sensitivity, a mixture of fear, wonder, and nostalgia. Tarak, a man anchored in tradition, sees the city as a new challenge, while Sayan, possessed by instincts and restlessness, senses from the beginning that New York has its own darkness. Once in the metropolis, the story turns into a modern ballad of survival. Tarak becomes a blacksmith in John Smith's workshop, a place full of noise, fire, and metal, an urban transposition of his world in Siberia. But for Sayan, the city is a dangerous labyrinth. Her beauty makes her a target for Vincent Russo, an underworld thug who lures her with promises of luxury and freedom. The author manages to perfectly portray the degradation of the soul. Sayan is not a classic victim, but a woman torn between two callings, the desire for love and the thirst for blood. Her fall into the world of prostitution and violence marks the turning point of the novel. In the night of the she-wolf, the curse erupts again. Under the moonlight, Sayan transforms, slaughtering all those who have brought her shame. That scene, full of cinematic force, is a cruel metaphor for liberation and punishment. The white she-wolf is no longer just a beast. She is the primitive justice of nature, poured out on a world that has forgotten what shame means. Tarak then becomes the silent witness to the horror. When he discovers his sister's tracks, he is faced with a double pain: sisterly love and fear of what she has become. The chapter Reunion is one of the most moving. Sayan, covered in blood, crying in a dirty basement, utters the words that define the entire saga: "The city has become my forest." This simple but devastating line sums up the novel's central theme. No matter how far we run, we cannot escape who we are. The second part of the book brings a change of tone and theme. The entry of Bobby Turner, the steel magnate, introduces a new conflict: love and appearance. Bobby, a symbol of the modern world, falls madly in love with Sayan without knowing her true nature. Their marriage, described in the chapter The Glass Marriage, is a metaphor for the fragility of happiness built on lies. In the luxury of palaces and fashionable balls, Sayan always wears a mask, but the mirror betrays her. At night, the white fur and the beast's eyes reappear. The chapters Fire in the Mirrors and Traces resume the tension of the thriller. The police discover claw marks mixed with a woman's footsteps, and the press talks about a white beast that kills in Manhattan. The she-wolf becomes an urban legend, but for Tarak, Each victim is a deep wound. The turning point of the novel comes with the appearance of the Brooklyn medicine man, an old Indian who recognizes the curse and offers a solution: a liquor that puts the beast to sleep. It is the moment when the author brings together Siberian mythology with Native American spirituality, creating a fascinating bridge between cultures and beliefs. In The Deceptive Silence, Sayan seems liberated. The liquor keeps her asleep on full moon nights, and life with Bobby becomes a peaceful dream. However, the peace is only an illusion. The spirit of the forest, symbol of the primal instinct, visits her in a dream and reminds her that the howl does not forget. The tension gradually increases, until Blood Moon, when the curse returns with apocalyptic force. The carnage that follows is described with an almost poetic intensity. The white she-wolf roams the streets of Manhattan, defying bullets and sirens, a mixture of horror and beauty. In The Last Duel, Tarak confronts her under the moonlight, asking her to choose between man and beast. The scene is one of the most powerful in the entire novel. Two brothers, two destinies bound by the same curse, fighting not against each other but against their own natures. The ending brings a bitter balance. In The Sacrifice, Tarak drinks the liquor himself and gives his blood to his sister, breaking the chain through love. It is a mythological, almost biblical gesture, a brother giving his life to save a lost spirit. The moon disappears, and silence falls over the city. The epilogue, The Howl Between the Skyscrapers, elevates the story to the rank of legend. Years later, a child hears a howl at night over Manhattan. People think it's just the wind, but those who know recognize the voice of the Wolf brothers. This poetic ending transforms the entire novel into a parable about the balance between instinct and reason, about the love that transcends the human and animal worlds. Stylistically, the novel stands out for its dense, visual, almost cinematic language. The descriptions of the city, with its smoke, noise, and cold lights, contrast with the mystical tones of dreams and transformations. The author combines urban realism with ancestral myth, creating an atmosphere in which the reader constantly feels the tension between civilization and wilderness. The characters are built deeply symbolically. Tarak represents reason, craft, order. Sayan is instinct, beauty, and chaos. And New York itself becomes a character, a steel forest in which beast and man learn to coexist. The Wolf Brothers in New York is not just a continuation of a legend, but a reinterpretation of the myth of the wolf as part of us. It is a story of exile, transformation, and brotherly love, but also a subtle criticism of the modern world, where instinct is hidden under the mask of civilization. In the end, the echo of that last sentence in the epilogue remains: the howl belongs neither to the world of men nor to that of beasts. It belongs to that fragile strip between light and darkness, where perhaps the Wolf Brothers still live.